Oh, we're live. I didn't even see. I heard the noise, but it didn't pop up. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the show. It's Thursday, which means that we're doing our weekly sports show. Yay! Everyone's
Yeah,
excited in
let's
the
get it.
world. Let's get it going. So, as always, I am here with Miles Dawkins 24/7. What's up, man?
How y'all doing out there? I'm doing good. How about you, Living?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. FIFA 15 came out this week, so I've been on that, and I'm getting my Madden fix in every once in a while, and it's good. It's good. Uh, Obviously, we gotta do our picks for this week. We're gonna talk about trash talking in sports. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it needed? Is it just something that we have to learn to deal with and not penalize them for? In the heat of the moment, we're gonna get into that, and then we're gonna talk about the biggest disappointments in the NFL season thus far. It's still early, but I think that there are some people that we thought we would get more of that. Unfortunately, we're not getting more out of. But let's start with the picks. So let's start with the Thursday night game, man. Giants and the Redskins. Who are you picking in this one?
Well, both teams coming to the game with the record of 1-2. Um, I think that the Redskins have more upside right now than the Giants. I think the Giants, they did, even though they did beat the Houston Texans. Houston Texans did come into last week's game with the record of 2-0. They did beat up a Redskins team that didn't really do anything offensively, and then they beat up on the Oakland Raiders, and everybody beats up on the Oakland Raiders. Fitzpatrick, he kind of is who we think he is. Can he get the job done? Yes. Can he get, the Houston Texans to the playoffs? Possibly, but for the most part, I think the Giants, they just caught a lucky break last week, so I'm going to go with the Redskins. I think Kirk Cousins going to get his first win of the season. Or second. Well, technically, it will be his first one of the season since RG3 started that last game versus the Jags. But I think Kirk Cousins is going to put up big numbers. I think the Redskins are going to win.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is proving that he may be the Phillip Rivers of the next generation. He gets a lot of passing yards. He gets touchdowns, but unfortunately, he's on a bum team. But I think that this year, or at least this game, just this game, I think he'll do well. And the Giants are struggling. We know this. And I think that the Giants, unfortunately, are going to go back to how they were a couple weeks ago. And
Yeah.
Victor Cruz is going to start dropping passes, and the Giants, because I watched the Giants game last week, and it was sad. It was just so sad, missing field goal attempts, muffin punts. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And yeah, there's no way that anyone in their right mind, unless you're a diehard Giants fan, you're gonna pick them at this point. All right, let's go to the next one. Ooh, let's hold off on that one. Buffalo at Houston. Who you got, man?
This is a big game, man. Both teams come in with a record of 2-1. Houston coming off of a loss. I believe Buffalo is also coming off of a loss. But I think Houston's going to bounce back. The game is in Houston, so I think Houston's going to take it. It's going to be pretty close. I still like Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to make a run for the playoffs this season. I'm talking about a deep run. I'm talking about.
Can I quote you on that?
Yes, you can. I think that they will be in contention, maybe to even win the AFC East. Yes, over the Patriots, and at least contend for the wild card. Yes, mark my words. I think that's going to happen. But unfortunately, I think that Houston is going to bounce back, and they're actually going to win this game. Probably like 24-20.
So what crawled up your brain and made you pick Buffalo for picking that division?
The Jets don't look that good. Miami doesn't look that good. Ryan Tannehill has been struggling. New England, for the most part, haven't looked that good. They had a 7-point victory over the Raiders last week. Tom Brady is looking like a game manager. He is looking like a game manager. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you are one of the elite quarterbacks, it's supposed to be the reason why your team loses. And I don't know if we could really say, the reason why your team wins. And I don't know if we could really say that Tom Brady is the reason why the Patriots are 2-1, I believe is the record, or something like that. But Yeah, 2-1. So at the end of the day, I think Buffalo has a legit opportunity if they can keep this thing rolling. For all I know, they could go into Houston and walk about it with the W. But I'm gonna just go with Houston.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick is absolute garbage, man. I mean, really, the fact, I don't know, and I mean, he's just been so inconsistent. I think that he's getting more recognition for that one decent year he had in Buffalo, and he really does not deserve the recognition that he's getting. And it's unfortunate for Andre Johnson because I know that going into this year he was mad. He was like, this team better be better or I'm not coming. And eventually, because he's a nice guy, and probably also because his mom yelled at him for a long time, he showed up to camp, he put in his work, and now, unfortunately, he's dealing with the consequences of Fitzpatrick not knowing how to throw the ball. And Foster didn't play last week. Hopefully, I think that he'll be back this week. But still, I'm not sure. Like the wild card is Fitzpatrick, and I just can't pick Houston, man. Unfortunately, so I'm gonna go Buffalo, and Sammy Watkins is gonna have a big game. I'm saying Sammy Watkins gonna have a big game. All right, Tennessee and Indianapolis. Who you got, man?
I got the Colts. The Colts are going to get their second win of the season. Tennessee start off the year pretty good. They got a win over the Chiefs, but after that, they really haven't shown too much. They got beat down by Dallas, and then last week they lost as well. So I'm gonna go with the Colts. The Colts are gonna move on to 2-2, and the Titans are gonna fall to 1-3.
Yeah, I'm going with Indianapolis as well. Tennessee hasn't shown me anything this year, unfortunately, and it's I had high hopes, but they get crushed every day. So. Indianapolis, I'm picking Indy in this one as well. Okay, Carolina at Baltimore. Who you got?
Woo! That's gonna be a good one.
Smash mouth.
But I'm gonna go with Baltimore, and it's Steve Smith, man. Steve Smith,
yes.
he has turned into like the emotional leader for the Ravens. He's a physical receiver. He's clearly the best receiving option that the Ravens had. And, I don't think that the Ravens are going to allow Carolina to come in and do anything to them. We have to remember that the Ravens put a beat down on the Steelers, and then the Panthers lost to the Steelers, so take that for whatever you want to. But I think that the Ravens are going to put a whooping on Cam and Luke Kuechly and the Panthers.
I'm going with the Panthers, man. I think that Benjamin is going to have a pretty big day. He's emerging as like that number one guy that Cam really was looking for. So I do like Carolina. Yes, Steve Smith I think is going to have a pretty good game. I think he's probably going to get about 100 yards receiving. But unfortunately, the other guys just aren't getting open. And again, it could be because people are now saying, okay, so we're going to double team. What's that guy's name? Jones? No, what's his name? Gosh,
Torrey Smith.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that. So they're gonna double team that guy, and it's like now. I mean, obviously, and that's why Smith is getting open. I mean, I'm not saying that's an excuse. I mean, when you're considered the number one guy on a team, you have to deal with that. You're gonna get that, but I think that he's still stuck in that rut of just now producing for Joe Flacco and. Their running game, as much as I like Justin Forsett because he is on my fantasy team and I'm starting him this week, I do want him to have a big day. But unfortunately, Carolina, they're pretty good at run defense. So I'm going to pick Carolina in this one. All right, Detroit at the Jets. Who you got, man?
Man, you know what? I'm gonna roll with the Jets, and here's why. I think it's a trap game. I think it's definitely a trap game for the Detroit Lions. You come off of a big win versus, the Green Bay Packers, who you only beat at home once before, and that's when Aaron Rodgers got dinged up with the concussion. You beat up on Matt Flynn. So I think that the Lions are going to be feeling pretty good about themselves. They're going to be feeling pretty high about themselves. But I think that the Jets are going to squeak out a victory at home versus the Detroit Lions, and Detroit's going to fall to 2-2.
Whoo, Detroit falling to 2-2, man. It's time for Matthew Stafford to get benched. This is what I think about this whole thing, man. Geno Smith showed some flashes, but Geno Smith also showed why he's not up there, and he probably shouldn't be starting either. He's still learning to manage the game. I mean, you could argue that they had a shot against Chicago. I'm a Bears fan, and I'm going to admit that they had a shot against Chicago, and Geno Smith Godness had a little bit too much, made passes that he really shouldn't have made. I mean, and literally we were giving the game to the Jets because of the turnovers, and it was the penalties, and it was this bad. And as much as I'm happy that the Bears won, I wanted to see Geno Smith show that he took that next step, kind of like EJ Manuel is doing this year. I know that there's a year difference, but unfortunately, yeah, I just can't go with the Jets. Just Geno Smith. I think I like the kid. I like the kid. You know, I follow him on Twitter and all that stuff, but I just can't go with him this week. And I'm going with Detroit. Megatron is an absolute monster. So. All right, Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh.
I'm going with Pittsburgh. They got a big win versus the Panthers and the Bucks. The Bucks might be the worst team in the league right now. I mean they look good versus Carolina. They almost beat St. Louis, and then the Falcons just absolutely destroyed them. Yeah, Glennon, I believe, is gonna get the start. I don't know if Doug Martin's going to play that offense. I mean, they have these two big monster receivers, but they can't get them the ball. I think Pittsburgh is going to win back-to-back games, man. I really do.
Yeah, I'm picking Pittsburgh. I'm not picking Tampa Bay ever until they prove something to me, because that was a butt-whooping on prime time, and you just can't have that happen. And they just look they look terrible. I mean, when your special teams is letting Devin Hester go off, it's not okay. I mean, much respect. But, I mean, let's be honest. So, yeah. So I'm going with Pittsburgh. All right. Miami at Oakland. Who you got, man?
I'm going with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to get the first win of the season. Miami played very, very well versus New England, got that win, and now, they lost 2 in a row. No Sean Marino, he's out. That running game really hasn't done too much. Ryan Tannehill hasn't taken that next step, or even stayed where he was last year. So he might have a chance to get back to that form, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think the Raiders are going to get the first win of the season. I look for Derek Carr to have a big game versus that secondary.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr is going to have his coming out party today, or not today, in this game in Oakland. And, yeah, Miami, no, Miami's not going to be able to do it. Well, gosh. Miami has a pretty good running game. They were able to have their backup running back. The name is escaping me right now, but they're able to have their backup running back actually have over 100 yards rushing. So, or I think it was like 100 yards total yards, something like that. So they're very good at using their running back in certain situations. And Oakland is notorious for having bad run defense. And so, unfortunately, you know what? I'm going to go with Miami. Even though I want Derek Carr to have a coming out party in Oakland with all those freaking crazy guys going crazy for him, I'm going to have to go with Miami in this one. All right. Green Bay at Chicago. Who you got, man?
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a very, very good game. It's going to be a very, very good game. I think it is a must-win for Green Bay. You do not want to start off the year 1-3. The game is in Chicago. Chicago is playing pretty well right now. Chicago should have very easily be 3-0 right now, and I can't see Chicago losing this. I really feel like Chicago's gonna do their thing in Soldier Field. I think that they're gonna try to get Matt Forte a little bit. I think they're gonna focus on Matt Forte, and I only say that is because when it's Jay Cutler and Aaron Rodgers on the same field, I feel like Jay Cutler tries his best to outdo Aaron Rodgers. And I think sometimes that leads to the interceptions, that leads to the forced passes and stuff like that. And coming off of last week's game, really didn't force the ball to Brandon Marshall. He was looking for Bennett. He was looking for Alshon Jeffrey. You know what I mean? And they did kind of stick with running game for the most part. But I think they're going to focus on getting the ball to Forte, play action passes, those big monster receivers out there. And I think that the Chicago Bears are going to move on to a 3-1.
Whew. Woo-wee. Yeah, well, I never go up against my team, and I won't here either. I'm picking Chicago. I think that the secondary of Chicago is surprisingly stepping up recently, and Lance Briggs is becoming the leader of that defense. Now, obviously, I would like to see Jared Allen, get the sacks. I'm still waiting to see his signature sack, celebration consistently, but. As much as I would like to see that, I'm actually very, very happy with our secondary. And at the beginning of the the year, I was really mad because I really, really liked Fuller, but I was really mad that we passed on HaHa Clinton Dix because we could have gotten him. We needed somebody to shore up that safety position. Obviously, everyone knows that Conte was like going into the season. Conte was, holding on to his starting job by a thread. But I must give Conte a lot of credit. Yes, he had that terrible highlight where he basically got, pushed aside and what was that, Sunday night or Monday? Or it was something like that.
No, it was the first game of the season.
First game of the season. So obviously he had that bad highlight. But he's actually played pretty well last game. He's still battling injury, so I'm not sure if he's going to play this upcoming game. But Green Bay's offense is struggling so much. And I don't care what Aaron Rodgers said. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers, is trying to keep the faith and saying, oh, don't worry, we'll turn it around. Well, it's time to turn it around now because, like I said, this is a must-win game for Green Bay, but they're going up against a very, very hot defense in Chicago, and it's not a good combination when you have a very, very hot defense against a very, very cold offense, because you always know defense wins today. So I'm going with Chicago, obviously. All right, Jacksonville at San Diego. Who you got, man?
I'm going with the Chargers, man. The Chargers are hot right now. They got big wins over Seattle. Not too many people picked them to beat Seattle. Then they go to Buffalo. Not too many people picked them to win in Buffalo. Buffalo was hot at the time. Wow. I think San Diego is going to move on to 3-1. And who could have said that at the start of the season? But I think San Diego is going to pull that one out too. I think that Blake Bortles is actually going to put up some nice numbers, but only because they're going to be running. The running game isn't going to be there. Toby Gerhart, he really hasn't shown anything so much this season. And I feel like Blake Bortles is going to have a big-time game, but they're going to throw the ball a lot, probably 30 to 40 times. So he's going to throw an interception here. But fantasy-wise, if you're looking for a quarterback, you might want to pick up Blake Bortles because they will chuck the ball up in the air a lot because that running game is not there. But if you're looking for Jacksonville to win, maybe wait till next week.
Yeah, wait till next week. I'm picking San Diego. As much as I want to see Blake Bortles have a big game and kind of solidify that starting job, which I'm pretty sure like everyone was just waiting for this to happen. So it's good that it's finally happening. As much as I want to see that, San Diego is playing really, really well, so I'm going to go with San Diego. Okay, Atlanta at Minnesota, the debut of Teddy Bridgewater. Who you got, man?
Man. Whew. I want to say Minnesota. I do.
What?
I do. But I don't know. I don't know.
You're scared. I know.
I'm not scared. Is this the fact that Atlanta can be very, very hot or very, very cold? It could be hit or miss. And I think Atlanta's going to walk away with the victory just because the Vikings most likely will have to be one-dimensional. But you know what? For the most part, when they played the Buccaneers, they were still giving up some big runs. So I know Adrian Peterson isn't there. So Minnesota can solidify that running game and stick with it, and those running backs won't fumble the ball like Bobby Rainey did on that Thursday night because he was getting through the front seven. He was getting through the defensive line and the linebackers, getting up to the secondary, and then he would cough up the ball. So if Minnesota can find a running game and those running backs hang on to the ball, Minnesota has a chance. But I'm still going to go with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. Minnesota's run defense is just absolutely unstoppable, but unfortunately they're passing their secondary and their corners are not that good. I don't really have faith in them at this point, and Matt Ryan is having a tremendous statistical year. So, I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. And I think that they're kind of hesitant with Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously this is a starting job of his for the rest of the season, obviously with Castle out, but I think that at the same time, as much as everyone and even the Minnesota Vikings organization say they have faith in this young quarterback, I think that they're kind of going to take it easy. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they start throwing the season a little bit. It's still early, but I mean, just throw them out there and make them learn slowly, I guess. All right. Philadelphia at San Francisco. Must win. You got
it is a must win. It is a must win. And I never go against my team. It's not in me, but I can see us losing this game. Only because Philadelphia, they can put up numbers like crazy. You know what I mean? They can put numbers up like crazy. Darren Sproles out of the backfield. I believe Shady is going to play this game out of the backfield. Our secondary, talking about the 49ers, their secondary is just not that good. And on the offensive side of the ball, we don't know who we want to be. We don't know if we want to spread the field out. We don't know if we want to be ground and pound. We don't know who we want to be. I can take the loss to Chicago. Chicago, in my eyes, is a very, very good team. The one thing that I could take away from the Chicago game is that we only lost by one possession. Technically, we lost by 8, and we had 4 turnovers. So if we take away those turnovers, most likely we win that game. But again, you can't cry over spilled milk. What's done is done. Chicago did their thing. Last week versus Arizona, we lose to a backup quarterback. Our offense could not score a touchdown. This is the 3rd straight week that the 49ers have not scored a single point in the second half. Not 1 point versus the Cowboys, no points in the second half. Versus the Bears, no points in the second half. And against the Arizona Cardinals, no points in the second half. And I think it's because the 49ers are way too predictable. When we spread the field, the defense knows what we're going to do. We're going to pass the ball. When we, have one tight end, one fullback, and one running back, 2 receivers, most likely we're going to run the ball. And our offense is not, it's not flashy. We're not getting big plays. And then when you go up against a team that can hit you in the mouth, a lot of things happen on the offensive side of the ball that are not always good. So I could really see Philadelphia coming into Santa Clara and getting the big win, and the 49ers moving to 0-2 in that brand new, beautiful new stadium. But again, I'm a Niner fan, so I can't go against my team, but I wouldn't be shocked if Philly wins.
I'm gonna go with I don't want to pick against 49ers because I really want them to get a win in their new stadium, but Kaepernick is turning into a mobile quarterback and not a passing quarterback, and that's not a problem. I mean, it's cool that he's mobile. I mean, this is always good, but I think that he's. And I don't know. I don't watch enough of the games to really make this assessment, but I have a feeling, based on just highlights and just statistics and stuff, that he's running more because the wide receivers aren't getting open for him. And I could be completely wrong. But that's kind of what I'm seeing at things. And that's not a good thing because as much as Colin Kaepernick is an amazing runner, one of the best mobile quarterbacks, scrambling quarterbacks that we have in the game today, I think that in order to be Philadelphia, you need to throw the ball because Philadelphia is going to literally take a blueprint out of Chicago's defensive scheme and just stack the box and say, hey, Colin Kaepernick, please beat us. So you need to get that done. But Philly's offense is just so good, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Gosh, man. When you have Darren Sproles as your backup and he's coming off of a huge week, and he got Macklin and Cooper, and I'm just railing off names here, but I'm going to have to go with Philly, unfortunately. I mean, it's just I have to do it. All right. New Orleans at Dallas. Who you got, man?
Whew. Can New Orleans really fall to 1-3? Yes. Yes, they can. I think that New Orleans is going to go to Dallas and going to leave with a loss. I like what the Cowboys are doing. They were down big last week. They were down, I think, 21-0. They were down 21-0 to the St. Louis Rams, and they stuck with the running game. That is a big thing in Dallas. We all know that a lot of times they just go away from DeMarco Murray. They go away, they just become pass happy. But they stuck with it. That great defensive line from St. Louis was controlling the running game, but they stuck with it. And then Dez Bryant gets open behind the coverage. You hit Jason Witten from time to time and stuff, and they put out a victory. And they can stick to that formula. Keep on giving the ball to DeMarco Murray and make those passing lanes wide open for Dez Bryant and Tony Romo, and I think the Cowboys can win in week number 4 and move on to 3-1, and the Saints will be 1-3. Who'd have thunk it?
Who would have thunk that? Tony Romo is good, and I don't know what it is about this guy, man, but for some reason this season, obviously it's only been a couple games, but he is consistently better away than he is at home. And I think that the pressure really gets to him when he's at home because he feels like, I don't know, the pressure I think gets to him, I guess is how I'm going to put it, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So, with it being in Dallas and him showing very, very high consistency and him still being a little bit hurt with that back injury, I'm gonna have to go with New Orleans on this one. I think that this is a must win. We're talking about must wins, week 4, it's ridiculous, but a lot of teams have must wins, and I think the New Orleans, this is a must win for them. They cannot go to a dismal record in that division that they're in. So I'm gonna have to go with New Orleans and Mr. Drew Brees. All right, Monday night, New England at Kansas City. Jamal Charles is questionable for this one. Who you got, man?
I got New England. New England. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat the Pats in New England. The Chiefs have really been a disappointment. Um, and I just feel like that the Patriots are going to do enough. One thing I can say about Tom Brady, he doesn't make it about himself, and he's more than glad to hand the ball off 30 times to his running backs. And that's what they've been doing the past 2 weeks, and it's worked. They did it versus Minnesota, blowout. They did it versus Raiders, got a 7-point victory there too. So I think that they're going to stick with that formula. And for the most part, the Chiefs haven't been able to stop anything on the ground or through the air. So I think Tom Brady and the boys are going to walk up out of there with a W.
Yeah, Alex Smith is not really having the year that his contract really wants. Should have him have, which is bad. I'm going with the Patriots. Tom Brady, like you said, he really is a team player, no matter what people say about him. And he's taking one for the team, man. His stats are not where they need to be. He's getting a lot of flack over it. But I think that at the end of the day, he's doing, like I said, what's best for the team. And I think that he'll continue to do that against a weak Kansas City defense. All right. So the people that have buys this week are Cincinnati, Cleveland, Denver, St. Louis, Arizona, and Seattle. Out of those teams, who do you think is most in need of this week's buy?
For me, I could go with Cincinnati. You know what I mean? Get some people healthy, get A.J. Green fully healthy. I could go with Arizona, maybe develop a game plan, maybe get Larry Fitzgerald more involved and stuff like that. But I'm going to roll with Denver. I'm going to roll with Denver only because I think that they realize that they can win a physical game, because that's what it was in Seattle. It was a physical, nasty game. Peyton Manning didn't really do too much offensively. The offense for the Denver Broncos really didn't do too much until the second half, but that defense kept them in it. Marshawn Lynch still put up Marshawn Lynch numbers, but it wasn't an easy, 88 yards game. It was a hard-fought 88-yard game. So they might be a little bit banged up, but I'm just saying just so they can sit back and reflect on that game. You know what I mean? Because really, Seattle was still probably the best team in the league, and they went blow for blow with them. If they took it into overtime, a great catch. I mean, Demaryius Thomas, he's one of the best receivers in the game. He went toe-to-toe with Richard Sherman, and he did his thing with Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman did not get exposed. I'm not going to go down that route. I'm not going to say Richard Sherman was getting beat all day by Demaryius Thomas. No, it was toe-to-toe. These guys were on one another the whole game. Demaryius Thomas got the better of him on some plays. Richard Sherman got the better of him in some place, but for the Denver Broncos morale and this to sit back and reflect, I think that they should just be focused on what they did, let that go, and just be prepared to beat up on everybody else they face except for the 49ers.
The team that I think needs this buy the most is Cleveland, because Cleveland has been a pleasant surprise this season, and they need to stop with this whole let's just put Johnny Manziel in it for a couple snaps just because. And I think that if they're going to put him in a couple snaps, they need to kind of look into the Mike Vick playbook that the Jets use, or something along those lines. Because at the end of the day, this whole throwing him in there and having him get sacked is just causing negative publicity for him, killing his ego. And if he is the future franchise quarterback they want him to be, you want to kind of ease him in slowly, have him throw the ball more. I'm tired of seeing him running the ball. I'm tired of seeing him making these catches as a wide receiver. He's not Tim Tebow. He's Johnny Manziel. He's Mr. Football. So I would really, really love to see them come up with a better game plan for him, or just don't use him at all. Just have him sit there. Don't use him at all. I know that's like financial suicide, because here come ESPN and NFL Network saying, oh well, look at this, Johnny Manziel isn't even being used. What a waste of a pick, and you're gonna get fans booing you. But at the end of the day, I think it'll be better for him than for you to just throw him out there in these like crazy dumb plays just for freaking hopefully getting yourself on freaking ESPN. It's ridiculous. All right, but those are our picks. Leave comments, guys, down below after you finish watching this. Let us know about your picks. But yeah, that's it. Okay, Dawkins, let's move on. And let's talk about trash talking in sports. I was gonna say the NFL, but it happens all over sports. We always see trash talking, even in NASCAR, for example. Obviously with the NFL cracking down on the N word and Colin Kaepernick, your boy, getting penalized for that. Do you think that it's fair for sports to penalize trash talking, or is it just part of the game? I mean, Kevin Garnett has been doing it his whole career.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with trash talking, and there's no rules that say that you can't trash talk. The NFL cracked down on the usage of the N-word. I have no problem with that. From when I saw Colin Kaepernick, he wasn't trash talking. He just kind of just said it. I think it was after he threw a pick, so he was probably mad. You know what I mean? But trash talking, I have no problem with it as long as you keep it about what happens on the court, the track, the field, the pitch, the diamond, whatever you play on. Keep it to what happens there. There's no need to get personal. There's no need to talk about somebody's family or relationship with their girl and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just keep it strictly to what happens on the field. And I really don't have a problem with that because Michael Jordan trash talked a lot too. Should we penalize him? You know what I mean? Jerry Rice, he was known to talk some trash to opposing DBs and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with trash talk as long as it's within the game and you're talking about what's going on in the game. I have no problem with it.
Okay, what about like what DeSean Jackson did this past weekend against Philadelphia? You know,
well, what did he do?
His like celebrations, you know, kind of taunting the Eagles fan base, the Eagles organization, making comments before saying, "Hey, they shouldn't have let me go," and bless and this and that. Do you think that stuff should be allowed to happen on the field? Because I know that it kind of got cracked down a little bit thanks to Chad Johnson, Mr. Ocho Cinco. And now celebrations are kind of
Chad Johnson was more focused on himself because. If you watch, like, you know, mic'd up Chad Johnson or, like, sounds of the game and stuff like that, a lot of stuff that Chad said wasn't that bad. It's just it turned into a distraction for the Cincinnati Bengals. They let him go. The Patriots, they didn't play that, so they didn't want him tweeting or nothing like that because nobody on the Patriots tweets like that. Nobody on the Patriots is out there, you know, me. So nobody really cracked down on it. The NFL didn't crack down on it. His teams that he was with cracked down on it because when he was with the Miami Dolphins for a couple of weeks, you know, he was going back to his old ways, and then he had an incident with his wife, and they cut him after that. But as far as what DeSean Jackson did, is he lying? Is he lying? Have they found somebody that could replace 82, you know, receptions, you know, over 1,000 yards? Is Macklin that guy? I really don't think so. DeSean Jackson, he is a big-time playmaker. And to me, Philadelphia doesn't have that outside of Shady McCoy and Darren Sproles. His celebration, I don't have no problem with the celebration. You know what I mean? He flapped his wings and he kicked afterwards and he turned around. He's done that little high step backwards into the end zone plenty of times. He did it when he was with the Eagles. He did it versus the Cowboys and stuff like that. He did it versus the Washington Redskins when he got into it with Laurent Landry. You know what I mean? So he's done it his whole career. So I really don't have a problem with it. Was he wrong for saying what he said? Absolutely not. Why would you get away your most productive player outside of Shady McCoy? Why would you do that? You know what I mean? So,
well, I mean, do you agree with what they said was that he was a cancer in the locker room? Do you believe that? Do you believe that? And on top of that question, do you believe that like it's beneficial for your team to? Is it more important to build a winning team and have that guy on the field that can give you, you know, points and produce offensively for you, or is it better to have like a cohesive locker room?
it's better. It's always better to have a locker room that's together. You would never want to have a locker room divided because of one player. But bottom line is you want to win. If you don't win, you get fired. If you don't win, you get cut. You don't win, people are not going to show up to your games. So the bottom line is winning. If he was really a cancer, then hey, Philadelphia, they did what was best for their team. And right now they're 3-0. So maybe they did make the best move for themselves. But that doesn't mean that DeSean Jackson should be happy that he got cut. Everybody had this game circled on their calendar. I don't know why this wasn't a Thursday night game for last week. You know what I mean? Freaking Eagles, DeSean Jackson coming back to Philly. Everybody had this game circled. So to say that he was wrong to be a little bit more amped up for this game, that's a little, BS to me. But at the end of the day, Deshaun Jackson did what he did. He did not get. I don't believe he got a penalty for what he did. I don't believe he took away from the game because of what he did. I don't think anything of that nature went down. But again, I would rather have a team that's like a brotherhood, a team that's, everybody agrees with one another, but that's not going to happen. You have 53 different people with 53 different egos and different personalities, and you're going to have people that bump heads with one another.
Very well said. Very well said. All right. Let us know in the comments, you guys. What do you guys think about that topic? Which is better, team chemistry, team morale, or just plain out winning? Okay. Last topic of the day. What are the biggest disappointments thus far in the NFL season? So, when I think about this, the first name, unfortunately, that I think about is Alex Smith. But what about you, man? Who are your biggest disappointments this year?
It's hard for me to look at an individual outside of the quarterback because, again, Alex Smith will be the number one name on the list, but I would just have to go with the Chiefs as a whole. That defense hasn't really been there. Jamal Charles really hasn't been there. Andy Reid, I don't know what type of plays he's calling. So I would say the Chiefs. I would say the 49ers. I would say the Saints. Losing to the Browns, like, come on now. I would say, the Giants' offense. I can't put it all on Eli, but the Giants' offense has been probably the biggest disappointment. Still have Victor Cruz, still have Eli Manning. Well, you're really only able to do anything, one game, and that's when your running back rush for over like 150 yards. So I would say those three things: the Giants' offense, the Chiefs as a whole, the Niners as a whole, and the Saints as a whole have really been a disappointment so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens offense besides Steve Smith. And obviously Ray Rice being hurt, you would say that hurt him, But at the end of the day, as good as Ray Rice is, I don't think that they should have built their offense reliant on him. I think
they didn't build the offense relying on Ray Rice.
Well, if Steve Smith wasn't there, they'd be trash right now. You could argue that he single-handedly won some games for him, So that's a disappointment for me. Let's see. Matt Forte has been a disappointment for me just because I think, I'm very critical of my teams, and everyone knows this. But I want him to take that step. And maybe this is just what he is. What he is he's a guy that's going to give about. He's going to fight. He's going to get more receiving yards. His receiving yards are going to be a lot better than his rushing yards. He's not going to break off a big game. But I kind of want him to run the ball a little bit more. Each week for these first couple weeks, I haven't seen him run the ball. I've kind of seen him kind of not do it. So again, it's hard for me to blame Forte for this. I guess what I really want to blame is the offensive line and really their lack of rush like offense, or whatever, rushing, blocking, or whatever, rush block, whatever it is. I would love for them to really let Matt Forte have a breakout year because this is a year that I think a lot of people thought that he was going to do that, but unfortunately he's just not. And especially when you have Jeffrey being hurt. Obviously, Jeffrey had a big game last week, but he is still hurt. When you have Martellus Bennett getting all the receptions, it's kind of awkward just from a football perspective. You're like, really? Like Bennett's getting? Bennett's awesome, but you're like, Bennett's getting the most receptions? That's kind of weird. And with Marshall, basically, running around on one leg, it's very, 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 very needed, and it would help, I think, them kind of make that push into elite status as a team if Forte were to have a pretty good, big game against Green Bay this upcoming week. So I hope he can get it going. Larry Fitz, I can't be mad at him because someone needs to throw him the ball, but he has been a huge disappointment for me, but I can't blame him. It's just I'm just gonna throw his name in there as well. What about biggest surprises, man?
Biggest surprises got to be, as of right now, Arizona, Buffalo, San Diego got to be a little bit of a surprise. I would say the Tom Brady is a surprise, and maybe in a negative way.
Mm,
Maybe he's one of the disappointments because, I mean, I think that this is shedding light on just how I don't know.
mm,
I don't know. I just think that people might have put Tom Brady on a pedestal because he did win 3 Super Bowls and he did it young. I mean, everybody was thinking that he was going to be the greatest quarterback ever of all time, and some people may still feel that way. But it's like I thought that he could win with anybody around him, and they are winning games, but they're not winning it because of Tom Brady. They might be winning it, despite of Tom Brady. So that's a surprise to me that they are just running the ball. Versus Minnesota, they ran the ball. When they passed the ball, because they were passing the ball in that first game versus Miami, and they lost that game, and they lost that game kind of bad, even though the score was kind of close. But the fact that when they started running the ball, they started winning. That's a surprise to me.
yeah, for sure. All right. Those are our topics. Dawkins, do you have anything else you want to add on before we do a minute to preach it?
No, man, I think that's good. Can't wait for this game to start.
I know, man, right? All right. I'll start today's minute to preach it, and then you'll go, I guess.
All right, my dude.
Let me set this up. All right. Oh, not yet. Stop. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about FIFA 15 and more importantly, FIFA Ultimate Team. Recently I started a Ultimate Team and I started streaming it and I started playing it. And the really weird thing about Ultimate Team is, and this has been the constant case about it, is that you must spend money in order to get a good team. It is impossible, almost impossible, especially in FIFA this year, because of the pace and the way that your defenders sometimes move out of the way and get left in the dust. It's very, very hard to build a team without spending money. So what I propose, and I know this will never happen, but what I propose for FIFA and Ultimate Team, it's a great mode, but maybe Division 10, 9, and 8, you can only buy bronze players, and it's all about skill. And then maybe the middle levels, the middle divisions, then you can open up silver packs. And then when you get to the upper divisions, you can open up gold packs. That's why it's a reward, and it's actually based on skill and not based on players. That would be awesome because it's really starting to piss me off. All right, you ready, man?
I am ready, Doug.
All right. Tell me whenever you're ready. Or just go.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
here we go.
Okay.
I am a diehard football head, so I'm forced to play Madden. And when I look at the games around, from MLB The Show, FIFA 15, NBA 2K15, they have left Madden in the dust. With everything that FIFA has done, and FIFA technically really is the same game every single time, but there is a fun factor that you do not always get with Madden. FIFA has a fun factor that Madden just cannot reach. 2K has always taken a step forward in whatever game mode they do. 2K is notorious for adding new game modes. 2K is notorious for adding new things as far as cutscenes for the My Career mode. The fact that a coach will actually get in front of his players with a projector and show what he wants them to do in the next game, that is fantastic. And that should be in football because football has the shortest season. So you can progress your team throughout 30 years much easier than you could baseball or basketball. And it's a freaking shame that Madden has not caught up to those other sports games.
I had to check out that video. It's good smooth, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then there's some other ones. Like he's getting coached up by James Harden. James Harden talking defense. That's a little fake.
What?
Yeah, like after the game, after the game, James Harden approaches him and stuff like that. And first, Chris Smooth's character was kind of, mad about his performance out there because he's on a 10-game contract. So if you don't produce in that 10-game contract, you could be someplace else after 10 games. So James Harden was like, well, here we worry about winning. Your performance will get better with time, yada, yada, yada. Then the next game, there's a cut scene when I walk into the locker room, and I guess Chris Smooth's character is talking about how good he did on defense, and James Harden was talking about, it was kind of like, not put him on a pedestal quite yet, let him know he still has to put in work, he still has to do this and stuff like that. And like that's the stuff that Madden should have been at way long ago. Like it's freaking fantastic, yo. It's freaking amazing.
Alrighty. That's awesome. Okay, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll be back here next Thursday, 6:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Central Time, and 3:30 Pacific Time. I'm not sure where I will be next week. I may be in Iowa. I may be somewhere else. Maybe in East Moline. Maybe in Boston. I don't know. We're gonna find out in the next week. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. You can hit up Miles Dawkins at Miles Dawkins 24/7 on Twitter, or you can just Google him and you can find his Twitter, his YouTube thing, all that cool stuff. You can find me at Living510 if you are new to this channel. If you're new to this channel, then I'm surprised you actually found this video because no one ever does. But that's it. Anything else before we get out of here, bro?
Nah, man, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Great show. Great show.
All right, wrap it up. It's a wrap.